Hey, good morning, y'all, and Shabbat Shalom. Happy Sabbath. So this is Leviticus Leviticus 27, and I hope you'll join me in our word with the Lord today. We just thank you, Holy Spirit, for being a part of this, and we thank you for your wisdom and your knowledge that you instill within us. And I say this in Yeshua's precious name. Rules about valuations. Then the Lord said to Moses, "Speak to the Israelites and say to them, when someone makes a special vow to the Lord involving the value of persons, if the valuation concerns a male from 20 to 60 years of age, then your valuation shall be 50 shekels of silver, according to the sanctuary shekel. Or if it is a female, then your valuation shall be 30 shekels. And if the person is from 5 to 20 years of age, then your valuation for the male shall be 20 shekels, and for the female, 10 shekels. Now, if the person is from 1 month to 5 years of age, then your valuation for the male shall be 5 shekels of silver, and for the female, 3 shekels of silver. And if the person is 60 years of age or older, then your valuation shall be 15 shekels of silver for the male and 10 shekels for the female. But if the one making the vow is too poor to pay the valuation, he is to present the person before the priest, who shall set the value according to what one making the vow can afford." So he's gracious. If he vows an animal that may be brought as an offering to the Lord, any such animal given to the Lord shall be holy. He must not replace it or exchange it, either good or bad for good. But if he does substitute one animal for another, both that animal and the substitute will be holy. But if the vow involves any of the unclean animals that may not be brought as an offering to the Lord, the animal must be presented before the priest. The priest shall set its value, whether high or low. As the priest values it, the price will be set. If, however, the owner decides to redeem the animal, he must add a fifth to its value. Now, if the man consecrates his house as holy to the Lord, then the priest shall value it either as good or bad. The price will stand just as the priest values it. But if he who consecrated his house redeems it, he must add a fifth to the assessed value, and it will belong to him. If a man consecrates to the Lord a parcel of his land, then your valuation shall be proportional to the seed required for it, 50 shekels of silver for every homer of barley seed. If he consecrates his field during the year of Jubilee, the price will stand according to your valuation. But if they consecrates his field after the Jubilee, the priest is to calculate the price in proportion to the years left until the next year of Jubilee, so that your valuation will be reduced. And if one who consecrated the field decides to redeem it, he must add a fifth to the assessed value, and it shall belong to him. If, however, he does not redeem the field, or if he has sold it to another man, it may no longer be redeemed. When the field is released in the Jubilee, it will become holy, like the field devoted to the Lord. It becomes the property of the priest. Now, if the man consecrates to the Lord a field he has purchased, which is not a part of his own property, then the priest shall calculate for him the value up to the year of Jubilee, and the man shall pay the assessed value on that day as a sacred offering to the Lord. In the year of Jubilee, the field shall return to the one from whom it was bought, the original owner of the land. Every valuation will be according to the sanctuary shekel, 20 gerahs to the shekel. But no one may consecrate a firstborn of the livestock, because the firstborn belongs to the Lord. Whether it is an ox or a sheep, it is the Lord's. But if it is among the unclean animals, then he may redeem it according to your valuation and add a fifth of its value. If it is not redeemed, then it shall be sold according to your valuation. Nothing that the man sets apart to the Lord from all he owns, whether a man, an animal, or his inherited land, can be sold or redeemed. Everything so devoted is most holy to the Lord. No person is set apart for destruction may be ransomed. No person set apart for destruction may be ransomed. He must surely be put to death. Deuteronomy, instruction on the tithes. Deuteronomy 14, 22 through 29, Deuteronomy 26, 1 through 15, and Nehemiah 13, 10 through 14. Thus, any tithe from the land, whether from the seed of the land or the fruit of the trees, belongs to the Lord. It is holy to the Lord. If a man wishes to redeem part of his tithe, he must add a fifth to its value. Every 10th animal from the herd of the flock that passes under the shepherd's rod will be holy to the Lord. He must not inspect whether it is good or bad, and he shall not make any substitution. But if he does make a substitution, both the animal and its substitute shall become holy. They cannot be redeemed. These are the commandments that the Lord gave to Moses, the Israelites, on Mount Sinai. Deuteronomy 14, 22 through 29. Giving tithes. You must be sure to set aside a tenth of all the produce brought forth each year from your fields, and you are to eat a tenth of your grain, new wine, and oil, and the firstborn of your herds and flocks, in the presence of the Lord your God, at the place he will choose as a dwelling for his name. So that you may learn to fear the Lord your God always. But if the distance is too great for you to carry that with which the Lord your God has blessed you, because the place where the Lord your God will choose to put his name is too far away, then exchange it for money. Take the money in your hand and go to the place the Lord your God will choose. Your God will choose. So understand, they all had personal relationships with the Lord. Are you hearing that? God is speaking to them. He's telling them where to go. They're his sheep. They hear his voice and they know. They weren't looking on the internet for a place to go. They weren't looking for somebody to come on and tell them what they need to do. They could hear God theirself. And that's what's vitally important about this. Then you may spend the money on anything you desire, cattle, sheep, wine, strong drink, or anything you wish. You are to feast there in the presence of the Lord your God, and rejoice with your household. And do not neglect the Levite within your gates, since he has no portion or inheritance among you. At the end of every 3 years, bring a tenth of all your produce for that year and lay it up within your gates. Then the Levite, because he has no portion or inheritance among you, for the foreigner, the fatherless, and the widow within your gates, may come and eat and be satisfied. And the Lord your God will bless you in all the work of your hands. So notice that the tithe, they spent the tithe, went for the elderly and the widows and those that didn't have back then. Understanding that. Deuteronomy 26, 1 through 15. And this will probably be the last one that I read. When you enter the land that the Lord your God is giving you as an inheritance, and you take possession of and settle in, you are to take some of the first fruits of all your produce from the soil of the land that the Lord your God is giving you, and put them in a basket. Then go to the place of the Lord, go to the synagogue, your God will choose as a dwelling for his name, to the priest who is serving at that time, and say to them, I desire today to the Lord your God that I have entered the land that the Lord swore to your fathers to give us. Then the priest shall take the basket from your hands and place it before the altar of the Lord your God. And you are to declare before the Lord your God, my father was a wandering Aramean, and he went down to Egypt, few in number, and lived there, and became a great nation, mighty and numerous. But the Egyptians mistreated us and afflicted us, putting us to hard labor. So we called out to the Lord, the God of our fathers, and the Lord heard our voice and saw our affliction, toil, and oppression. Then the Lord brought us out of Egypt with a mighty hand and outstretched arm, with a great terror, signs, and wonders. He brought us to this place and gave us this land, a land flowing with milk and honey. And now, behold, I have brought the first fruits of the land that you, O Lord, have given me. Then you are to place the basket before the Lord your God and bow down before him, so that you shall rejoice, you, the Levite, and the foreigner dwelling among you, in all the good things the Lord your God has given to you and your household. And then when you have finished laying aside 1/10 of all your produce in the third year, the year of the tithe, you are to give it to the Levite, the foreigner, the fatherless, and the widow, that they may eat and be filled with your gates. Then you shall declare in the presence of the Lord your God that I have removed from the house of the sacred portion, and I have given it to the Levite, the foreigner, and the fatherless. The foreigner. The foreigner. Think about that. The fatherless, the widow, and according to all the commandments that you have given me, I have not transgressed or forgotten your commandments. I have not eaten any of the sacred portion while in the mourning, or removed any of it while unclean, or offered any of it for the dead. I have obeyed the Lord my God. I have done everything you commanded me. Look down from your holy habitation from heaven and bless your people Israel and the land you have given us, as you swore to your own fathers, to our fathers, a land flowing with milk and honey. Isn't that amazing? Tithes restored, and you can read that for yourself in Nehemiah 10 through 14. I pray that this helps you today. I pray you go forth, and I pray that you remember today is the day of the Lord. Today is the day of the Lord. Rejoice and be glad in it. Today is the day that the Lord has made, that he loves us so much, and he's wanting to come into relationship with us just like he was back then. Nothing's changed. We changed what God put in place. God did not change at all. I pray that you would put him back in perspective and look into the goodness that he is. And I say this in Yeshua's name. Bye-bye.